The Joe Rogan Experience.
Instant trauma.
I mean, I have mental illness. I have a cousin who is paranoid schizophrenic. Ooh. All right. And my dad would tell me about, I don't know how the fucking second removed shit works. He's my father's first cousin. Okay. Still alive. Dude smoked a carton of cigarettes in 3 days.
Whoa.
I mean, we have no idea how he's ever a throat fucking left. But he was really he was a black belt in karate. He was great at lacrosse. He had Hopkins, Syracuse, big schools looking at him. And then he'll tell you, he started doing drugs and he went fucking the Sid Barrett route. He just went off the fucking deep end. And he's permanent disability, diagnosed paranoid schizophrenic. And, we all love him. And he's fucking hilarious. Like, he'll play with it because sometimes he's on his meds and you can tell, you're like, oh, you're dialed in right now. He'll start telling family secrets. And I'm like, don't listen to him. Like, no. Right now is when you listen to him. I can see it in your eyes. The other times when he's off looking over here, I'm like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But we would go, like, he had an apartment and I would go visit him from time to time. And he had poetry and sayings and stuff written all over the wall. And I'm like, what is this? And he's like, well, at night, when I'm home alone, the doctors come in through my window. They drop liquid acid in my ears, and they knock me out, and then they start taking samples of my body. And after they leave, the love of my life comes, and I can't communicate with her. So this is how I communicate with her. These are there for when she comes in to speak for me. And I'm like, holy shit. Yeah. So his windows are nailed shut to keep the doctors out. I'm like, how's that work? And he's like, it's not working. So one day I'm over there and he's watching TV with the volume all the way down and the radio up. And that's how he's watching this program. And I'm telling you, it started to fucking make sense. And I was like, I got to get the fuck out of here. I got to get out of here, Gary. I am out of here on this.
There's a disease that I'm trying to remember the name of it. But it basically is when people are around schizophrenics for too long, they develop schizophrenia themselves.
Really?
Yeah, there's some people who are sympathetic to it to the point where, God, I want to say it's called allophenia. There's some sort of a disease that occasionally infects people or gets people that visit people in the hospital that are schizophrenia. So someone will come, like a family member will come visit you, and they will get diagnosed and they will get admitted themselves.
And they'll actually develop
they get it. I don't know like to what stage, but apparently it's a potential issue for some people. Because like, look, have you ever been hypnotized?
No.
I thought it was horseshit. Till my friend Vinny Shorman, who is a sports hypnotist, he works with a lot of fighters. He hypnotized me. I'm like, whoa, this is real. It just puts you in a very bizarre state.
Do you feel that state?
Yes, you're there. You're awake. You're conscious, but you're in a strange state. It's
almost feel something.
Yeah, like you're in a tube of consciousness or something. Like you're in a womb. It's very, very interesting. But I'm listening to him, and he's a friend. I trust him. He's a great guy, so I wasn't weird about it. So I was like, oh, yeah, you could do it. Go ahead. Let's see what happens. I was kind of skeptical. I was like, this is horseshit. But have you ever been to one of those hypnotist comedy shows?
No.
My friend Frank Santos, he was a guy who, he's passed away, but he was a big-time comedy hypnotist guy in Boston and in Rhode Island. And he had a show. And I saw his show, man. He used to do like one night a week at Stitches and one night a week at Nick's Comedy Stop. And dude, we would go down there on days off just to watch. It was crazy. He would take people out of the audience, like, who wants to be hypnotized? And he had a weird way of talking. Who wants to be hypnotized? You want to be hypnotized? Come on up, come on up. He was like a round, jolly fella, real friendly, glasses, like totally unassuming. You didn't think he was. And then he would bring these people on stage. And he would just be able to take, sweetie, you're gonna go under. You're gonna fall asleep. You're gonna fall asleep. When I snap my fingers, you're gonna think you are Sally Fields, and right next to you is Burt Reynolds.
Oh yeah,
Smokey and the Bandit.
Say Smokey and the Bandit.
And you would see these people, and they were like, Smokey, we got to get away from the police. Like they really believed. He had this one guy. They would actually
speak like that person.
Oh yeah. They didn't know what they were out of their mind.
Shit.
This one guy, he told the guy. This was the '80s. He told the guy that the guy was having sex with Madonna. He's like, underneath you is Madonna, and you're squeezing her booties, her boobies, and she's naked, and you're about to have sex with her. You're gonna have sex. You're having sex with her right now. And the guy had an orgasm.
No.
on the stage. He's sitting there on the stage. He's like, and the audience is. I'm talking. People are falling out of their fucking chairs, crying, laughing. You couldn't. But it was real, man. And some people, it wasn't real. Like some people would look at him and he'd go, hey, buddy, look at me. You're not under. Come off the stage. The guy was like, and the guy would climb off the stage. He would know who was under and who wasn't under. I mean, this guy was he would work with people who were like, trying to quit smoking or trying to quit gambling.
I had a friend that did the smoking thing.
Gambling, booze. Apparently they can do it with a lot of different things, but smoking's a big one. But he just could do it to some people. And I'm telling you, quick. He would do it, and there's fucking 300 people in the room. But he would be like, I'm going to count my fingers from the count of 3. You're in the car, and the police are chasing you. 1, 2, 3. What are you doing now? I'm in the car. The cops are chasing me. And it was just instant, man. I mean, it was some people, they just fall into these states of mind, and they're open to suggestion. Some people can be hypnotized. And this is why some people, I think, join cults. Like, I'm watching the Netflix program, Wild Wild Country.
Yeah.
Fucking
I just
crazy.
started, yep.
Crazy. But some people, I think, are more susceptible to suggestion and more susceptible to cults. And I think that's what's happening. I think that's what's happening with this allophrenia thing, if that's what it's called. I might be remembering that incorrectly. But this thing that being around a schizophrenic person, like whatever weird error their brain is making, your brain tunes into that error, and you start going crazy too.
As soon as that shit made sense, I was like, I got to get the fuck out of here, because he's done. He's never hurt anyone, but he's still, these days he's probably in his 60s, not in any kind of shape. But back then, when he still knew martial arts. He was dangerous.
Crazy man.
He was dangerous, but he never hurt anybody. But he knew how to. And so one day, there's Eastern Avenue in Baltimore, for lack of a better term, the Ventura Boulevard of Baltimore. Shops everywhere and everything. And there was this one woman that had cut his hair one time. And for him, to touch his head was a big deal for him. So he immediately fell in love with this lady. Her name was Carissa. So he went home and got his guitar. And the thing about this guitar, like this dude would pawn his bed, his guitar, everything. But that guitar was always out of tune exactly the same way. You understand what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Okay, so always fucked up, but always consistently fucked up. Every guitar he had, that's how he tuned it. That's how he heard it.
Oh, wow.
So he writes her, he writes her a love song. And he wants to go up to her shop and now sing it for her. So he goes up, he stands out in front of the shop, and he gets her attention. He's got his guitar, and he's gone. It starts off where he goes, Chris, I love you. In Baltimore accents. Her name's Carissa, but he says Chrissa, okay? Chris, I love you. Chris, I need you. Then he goes, Chris, don't die. Chris, don't cry because I want to die. Chris, don't. And she's freaking out like, what the fuck? Yeah, like your eyes. So they call the police. He gets arrested.
Oh, no.
But he doesn't understand why he's arrested. In his mind, what did I do wrong? I just wrote a beautiful song for someone I care about, and I wanted to share it with her. So my cousins, all of us were like, we got to go to court and watch this. This is going to be fantastic. Because he's got to go to court. So they bring him out from the back.
Oh, no.
And he stands up, and it's a female judge. And his mom, my Aunt Marguerite, she's my great aunt, my grandmom's sister, but it's extended family big time. And we're all there watching. And the judge says, ask the girl her side of things. And she's like, well, this happened. And she's like, would you like to speak on your behalf? And he's like, I just don't understand what I did wrong. I wrote a song for someone I care about, and I just wanted to share it. And she's like, would you mind sharing some of the lyrics? And we're all like, oh, shit. And he fucking, Chris, I love you. Chris, I need you. Chris, don't cry because I want to die. She goes, okay, that's enough. That's enough. And then they're about to let him go. Because they understand they're going to put a restraining order. He's under supervision, but they're about to let him go. And she goes, oh, wait a second. There's still an open charge here on the books. So we're going to have to take you back today. He starts losing his shit. Like, what? My Aunt Marguerite stands up, and to a judge, she goes, hun, we dropped those charges. Everyone calls people hun in Baltimore. She goes, hun, we dropped those charges. That lady said, first of all, you don't call me hun. I am a judge. You address me as your honor. We're all like, Aunt Marguerite got schooled by the judge. And they fucking took him back, and he was screaming, going up.
Did they the family put a charge on him?
Yeah, he would do things like he would show up to their place in a cab, demand they pay for it. They didn't. He'd throw a brick through the window. So they had him. They had him arrested for that.
Jesus Christ.
And they really did drop the charges, but it was just a clerical error that never made it to the paperwork. And she's like, I got to do what I got to do. We're taking you back today. And they were pulling him back, and he was going nuts.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. So that
Jesus
ended up
Christ.
that fucking haircut. But he would say shit to me. He would swear to me that nurses would give him head in the hospital. He would, and part of the time, you're like, I don't know. But one that really blew my mind was he had this scab on his stomach. And he was like, they keep coming in and cutting me and testing me. They're taking me to the doctor today, Ryan. I think I got something. I think I got a disease in that cut. I'm like, what are you going to do? He's like, I got a plan. So I talked to him later that day, and I'm like, what did you do about that disease, man? He goes, you know what I did with that scab? I picked it off and threw it away. He thought, like the scab held the disease. Yeah, and you could just pick it off and flick it away and be like, that shit's gone. AIDS is out of here now.
Can you imagine? Wow.
But that's where he gets. I talk about it. People are like, it's not funny, and it's not. Mental illness is obviously not funny. But the shit he would do, we would take him. So it would be me and my 2 brothers, his daughter and 2 sons on Christmas Eve. We'd go over. We'd take him a plate of food. We'd hang out with them for a little while and shit. And there'd be times where he's like, "You guys got a joint?" We're like, "We shouldn't be smoking." You know, he's like,
Was a schizophrenic guy?
So we give him a joint.
Oh no!
And he smokes it. And now we're driving back to my aunt's in the city, which is 12 minutes away. We get back. What are you all giving him weed? He would rat us out. He's like, they came over and gave me that food, thanks. And by the way, they gave me a big fat joint. So then we would play that. Why you listen to his crazy ass? Nobody gave him. Like, we all had to be on the same team. Oh, he smokes. He would come to my grandmother's house when I lived with her. He'd sit in a chair. And he smokes cigarettes like this. I mean, he doesn't pull it any farther away than about 3 inches from his mouth, and not just down. And he'll go through 3 packs. His mom died of breast cancer, and she would say all the time, I don't know how he even has a fucking throat left, and I'm dying of cancer over here, and he's still alive, smoking cigarettes like that too, still smoking cigarettes like that.
Chain.
A carton in 3 days. What is a carton? I don't even know. 20 packs. That's
that
roughly 7 packs a day, something like that. A day for decades. For decades.
That's so crazy. Oh my God. That is so crazy. Now do you remember what he was like before he was schizophrenic?
I don't, because when I was a kid, he was already gone. But my dad loved him and would bring him out to the house because he was safe. He was just crazy. He would say shit and he'd be like, just
don't give him a brick.
Yeah, that's right. Be nice. Don't give him a fucking brick. But my dad would tell me all the time he was a phenomenal athlete. Like I said, great at karate. He had a black belt. He was great at lacrosse. No, just he tried to tell me. So Highlandtown is the area where my aunt is the old Greek town in Baltimore. It's not. It's Greek is long gone in that neighborhood, but that's where he grew up. And he would try to tell me that Highlandtown was the Haight-Ashbury in Baltimore. I was like, get the fuck out of here with that garbage. But he was doing acid, early 11. 12, and he'd dabble. I think he said that early, and then eventually after like into the college years, the 20s, he really fucking ramped it up. And
so he was
told
fine before that?
Yeah, 100%.
He
that's made himself crazy.
Story. The common story is people that have a tendency to schizophrenia, or maybe they have a likelihood of developing it later in their life. Acid trips, mushroom trips, heavy psychedelics tend to bring out schizophrenia. They tend to make it manifest.
So maybe he was ripe for it because there's no other mental illness in the family. It's just him. Just him.
Yeah, man. I think especially when you're young, think about how many people have had horrible, horrible acid trips, just taken way too much and tried to fight it and just been fucked up for days and weeks, and then you still feel slippery. Life feels weird even after those trips. I had a DMT trip one time that fucked me up for a couple weeks. Like for a couple weeks afterwards, I'd be driving my car and I'd be thinking there's going to be a car. It's going to launch itself off the fucking the oncoming lane and fly right into me. I was thinking, I had this image that was going to be upside down and the car was going to hit the windshield.
Flying upside down,
flying
coming
upside
into
down and just slant.
For weeks after this?
Yeah, weeks afterwards.
So that's why I'm scared of that shit.
It's because